Welcome to the 411 Let's Talk Show with your host, Dedric D. Perry. Today's topic, the world of entertainment. Let's talk behind the scenes. All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone. It's that time again for the 411 Let's Talk Show with your host, Dedric D. Perry. Thank you all so much for joining and tuning in once again. As you all know, we do this once a month. Every first Thursday of the month, we have an interesting topic, an exciting topic, a great panelist, phenomenal panelist, I may add. And I'm excited on tonight for the panelists that we have and the topic that we will be using on tonight, the world of entertainment. Are you interested and curious, how the world of entertainment works and behind the scenes? We're going to talk a little behind the scenes. We're going to talk to some media moguls. We're going to talk to some that have had some experience in this field for some years now, and they got some credit under, some street cred, Listen, you all know, I don't want to assume that everybody knows who I am, but I am Dedric D. Perry, Apostle Dedric Perry of Abundant Rain Ministry in Douglasville, Georgia. I'm the founder, also a CEO of DDP Ministries. And I also cover other ministries and churches locally as well as internationally. You can find out a little more about who I am and what I do by going to my website at www.ddpministries.com if you like. I don't want to I don't want to take up too much time with all of that. Just, some people just say, just Google me, just Google me. Google has everybody. I tell y'all, and sometimes Google has stuff you don't want them to have either. And then you don't know how to, who do you contact and who do you reach? Say, listen, take me off of your list. Like, take that off. I don't want that, on the World Wide Web. It's something. Once you get on one list, I tell you, they just send you over to another list. But listen, share. We're going to take some time to kind of share as well ourselves here. So I'm going to give you just a moment to invite others, to tag them, share them. But in the meantime, here's some of my information. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you have missed some of the previous episodes, because we are on episode 9 tonight. So if you missed some of the previous episodes, you can go to my YouTube channel at Dedric D. Perry, and you'll be able to pull up the playlist, the 411 Let's Talk Show, but you'll find some other playlists as well. All right, so I'm going to get on into it. I'm telling you, I'm excited. I hope y'all are ready. But I'm getting ready I want to bring up my first guest. And when I bring the guests up, they're going to just tell us just a little bit about who they are. But we're going to hear more from them and what they do, what they have done, their experience, and all of that as we continue with the show on tonight. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Once again, it's your host, Dedric D. Perry. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to bring up my first guest. Now, on tonight, we're talking about the world of entertainment. Let's talk behind the scenes. We're going to talk media, radio, TV, Stellar Awards as well. I know y'all interested in that. Some of y'all went to the Stellar Awards, red carpet experience, backstage passes, the highs and lows, highlights and the spotlights in the industry, best interviews that they have done, great opportunities that they have received, some guests and stories that they can share, some of the highs and lows of this, the ups and downs, what are the do's and don'ts for someone that would be interested in going into media? Is it a gift? Is it a calling? Gift, calling, same. Is it just a talent? Is it a hobby? Is it just something they like to do in their pastime? I also want to hear about some of these bloopers and blunders too, and a little bit more. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to bring up our first guest, And I want to get her to, because she's our only other female panelist. So I want to bring this beautiful beloved up. Her name is Marissa, but known as Marvelous Marissa. So I'm going to let her tell a little bit about herself. Hi, beautiful.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate this.
Listen, I am honored to have you on. I'm so excited about what's been going on in your life, the blessings, and how God is using you and just have exploded, expanded, and brought so much exposure to you. So Godspeed, I tell you. So tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Yes, well, my name is Marissa Daniel, but I go by Marvelous Marissa. God told me in prayer that my name is marvelous, in His eyes that I'm marvelous. So I just use that as my stage name. I'm known as the hostess with the mostest. I'm an author. I published my book From Brokenness to Marvelous in June 18, 2020. It published and it went national. So I thank God for that. I also have my own TV show called Broken into Beautiful. And a lot of people can relate to that because we all have experienced some broken moments in our lives. But when you give it to God, He will make it all beautiful. Amen.
Yes.
God has just blessed me with so many opportunities in media. Apostle, He has blown my mind throughout these years. All He wanted me to do was step out on faith and to believe in myself. And once I did that, He just blew my mind throughout these years.
Wow.
I've done commercials on radio stations, Praise 102.5 for a multi-million-dollar dealership last year. And ran that commercial back to back. I think consecutively for like 6 months they ran it. So I thank God for that. And I also worked at 104.7 The Fizz. 104.7 is a syndicated radio station, but it's a conservative radio station. Okay. So I'm the second Black voice to ever be on 104.7. I hosted the Here's What's Happening segment.
Oh my goodness. Did you all hear all of the marvelous things that Marvelous Marissa has done and has been doing? And I would like to add that her book is absolutely awesome. I'm telling you, her testimony, her life story is life-changing. It is get her book, follow her and get her book. Also, I was blessed to have her to host, to MC my birthday bash, my birthday book bash a couple of years ago when my book came out. So I didn't do a book signing. So I did a birthday book bash. So it was my birthday. And so I did the book signing during that time. And when I tell you, it was lit. She lit that birthday bash on fire. We had an awesome time. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marissa. We're going to hear a little bit more from you. The next guest I want to bring up is Ricardo D. Rice. He's going to tell you a little bit more about himself as well. All right. Hey, son.
Hi, Mom. Marvelous Marissa. Yes. All right, so I am, y'all see me here with my mom a lot lately. I'm Ricardo D. Rice from the Leadership Blend Media Company. I have a television show, 2 live podcasts, a magazine, and actually finishing up working on a documentary. I do red carpets, major events, all that good stuff. I started in media in 2017, fell into it, did the research, put in the time, did the work. Now I've been able to share the stage with great people, from interviewing Bishop Hezekiah Walker to Gary with the T. Not the entertainment guy, but God has blessed me to be in that space. I'm more about politics and bringing things to light that are not being seen, and spotlighting great leaders in their spaces, in their venues. So that's kind of what I do. And, the documentary is to shed light on a subject, whole new venture for me, never knew anything about it. Just kind of following the lead of God, and Apostle knows that. He see me since the beginning. Wasn't my plan, just keep rolling with it. And here we are today with all these great things going on. Had another great interview today that I'll share later in the week. But this one was pretty exciting. So God is steady elevating to be in the company of people who are winning Peabody Awards and Emmy Awards and things of that magnitude. So
wow. I love it. I love it. And he also just did the back to school is cool community fundraiser event with Abundant Rain Ministry. And we had a car show, and he was part of that panelist and did such an awesome job as usual. So I'm just honored to be able to have you all. I mean, I really am. I am so blessed. So I thank God for you guys. One thing I love about you as well is that you all remain humble. That is the key to elevation. Some people, he's looking for people that he can trust, you know, to trust on the next dimension, trust in another realm, another space, the marketplace. And sometimes he can't trust us. And so you all are great examples of proper balance and how God can trust you in different spaces. And so that's a blessing. All right, I want to bring up my next guest. I'm going to bring up my other spiritual son. His name is Lonnie Ratliff. He is MIT, Lonnie Ratliff, MIT at Abundant Rain Ministry. He is, hey.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead on and tell
Hello,
us.
DD. I appreciate this opportunity. Marvelous. I like that name. I love it because God says you are marvelous. Well, I just want to thank you, DD Perry, for this opportunity, inviting me on this show and dealing with this subject matter. I've been in the entertainment industry way over 25 years. It's a different combined entertainment from working with 20th Century Fox Studios, Sony Entertainment, worked on the first, pretty much the first Godzilla that came out. That's part of my work. So, and then eventually I went into radio. I've been in radio broadcast for over 3.5 years, working in Phoenix, Arizona at the #1 Christian broadcast radio station in Phoenix. So, and now we're moving into our television network, which is going to be streaming on Roku and also Prime. So that's in development as we speak.
Wow. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And God is so faithful because he brought Minister Lonnie, MIT Lonnie, to our ministry, Abundant Rain Ministry, to take our media ministry to the next level. So I'm excited.
Yes,
he was actually recording at the event, the back to school event as well. So I'm looking forward to what he is working on once all the edits and everything is done. All right. So I'm going to bring up my last guest. I tell you, last but not least, oh my goodness, this is my homeboy from my hometown. We go way back. But he also was the first person in media to give me my first opportunity. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to bring him up. I have had many interviews and been on different television broadcasts. I've been on with Ricardo Rice on his Leadership Blend several times. Atlanta Live, was scheduled. I don't know if I told y'all before, but I was actually scheduled to be on the Steve Harvey show, but it canceled. Yes, right before his show canceled. Oh my goodness. You know, I was like, really? I wanted to really joke on Steve Harvey to see if I can get that comedy act. You know, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah, but I had several interviews, and a lot of times when I'm interviewed, people have always asked, have you ever considered hosting? And so I was like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, but I want to give honor where honor is due to this next gentleman that I'm bringing up, because he gave me my start. And sometimes we don't know how to honor people that have been a blessing, have paved the way for you, open up a door for you. So I was a co-host on this GWay. Oh my goodness. But this is my homeboy, y'all. We used to go to church together back in DMV area, Maryland, DC.
You already know. No, I don't know DMV. It's straight DC. Don't play. Don't play.
Just
you know what it is. What up, y'all? It's your man GWay holding it down. GWay podcast. I'm in the building. Waywork Studios. Listen, me and D Perry go way back. I know her first name. You know what I'm saying? I know her government.
See? See?
I know y'all all know her first name, but I knew her first name first. Let me say
First
it that
name
way.
first. See, that's why you gotta be careful
what I'm
when you
saying?
bring these people on that you know way back, because then they want to start revealing secrets and everything.
Listen, I know where the bodies are buried. You know what I mean? But nah,
Yeah.
we go way back. We go way back. I got
Yes.
my start in actually my soiree into entertainment started when I was in kindergarten. I was a partridge in a tree, my first like recreation play. So that kind of was a spark for me. But my first start in radio happened at one of the local radio stations in DC. It was actually one of the radio stations that Kathy Hughes had later bought. It became Radio One. Also, I worked at radio in New Jersey, South Jersey, and then it really kicked off really well here in Atlanta at one of the local stations, one of the AM stations, 860 AM, where I started out part-time. Well, I started out as an intern. 3 days later, I got a job. And then two years later, I became the operations manager. But I always had a radio show there. And I think it was about 5 or 6 years later, I stopped that, launched WayWork Studios, and then somewhere along the line, D. Perry crept in and as guest host, co-host with us, and that was a great time. We had an amazing time.
We did.
And aside from that, my whole background also, hovers in film and television. I'm a filmmaker. I'm in the process of developing a film right now. I got some other shorts that's getting ready to come out soon. So that's my short of it all. And welcome to all the illustrious panelists that's here tonight. Good to see you all.
All right. You too, brother.
Awesome. Yes. That's my brother there, I tell you.
Yes.
So
that's history right there.
It is. I'm telling you. And I really enjoyed my time with GWay WayWork Studio. It's an amazing studio as well. And let's jump into this. So the question I want to ask, and no, pretty much you all told us about your background, but what initially attracted you to the world of entertainment or media, whatever your vein is? What initially attracted you, GWay?
Well, I mean, like I mentioned, the when I was in kindergarten, when that situation happened, but when it came to radio, if I'm gonna be totally honest, if I'm gonna be totally honest,
yes,
I used to be outside.
Okay.
And so I used to rap on the, just standing out there. I used to just rap. And somebody said, you sound like you should be in radio. And I was like, And so that just kind of got the ball rolling in my mind. And I was like, well, maybe there's something I need to really, look into. And I really kind of fell into it, to be honest. Well, God ultimately, but I fell into it, and I was like, hey, I can do this. I like to do this, so I can do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And my ability to talk to people is, I like to say that it's on point.
Yes.
And so, I really like to, communicate with people and really like to share in their world and really just, open up the world to other people. So that's how it started for me.
Awesome. All right, Marvelous Marissa, I'm sorry. What initially attracted you? Oh, I'm sorry, dear.
Okay.
There you go.
Something totally opposite from his story. My kindergarten teacher told my mom that I wasn't going to be able to speak or articulate my words. Speech problem growing up as a little girl, and I was always in speech class. And that really left me discouraged at a young age. But I went home and I saw Oprah Winfrey on television. And I said, Mama, and I was young. I said, for some reason, something in me at a young age told me do not believe that lie from the enemy. I was young, and I just totally proved them wrong. I started doing the student announcement. I was always an announcer. I started hosting events at the age of 12 in Wisconsin. I did television appearances, won essay contests. Like, I totally proved that man wrong. And I went to high school, went to college, did a whole lot of media work. I was always the announcer, the hostess, the mistress of ceremony. And then I went to Clark, Atlanta, and I had my own TV talk show in college. I interviewed Monica Pearson, I interned at Channel 2, Fox 5, and WISN. So it started at a young age when someone, a white man, told me in my face that I had a speech problem. And I just, at a young age, I didn't believe that. And I just, I just went on ahead and accomplished my dreams. And all of my doctors are shocked to this day.
Wow. That is powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful. Okay, Ricardo, tell us what initially sparked your interest. What initially attracted you?
Honestly, it wasn't even an attraction thing. I had a co-worker I worked with at Andretti's. Shouts out to Erica.
To mute if you can.
I think that might be Marissa's on. Marissa, mute your mic and see.
Yes.
I think it might be you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Marissa. I had a coworker that I worked with at Andretti's named Erica. Again, shouts out to Erica. And she had a radio show on Love 860 AM. Well, their sister station, 1140. And she was like, you should listen to my show. You should listen to my show. And I was like, fine, whatever. So I went to look up her show. And at the bottom of the screen, they had an ad saying, have you ever thought about hosting your own show? And I was like, maybe in another lifetime. I'm funny. So, maybe in another lifetime. Cool. So I responded to the ad, sent, I think, an email. And the guy emailed me back. And he was like, well, hey, why don't you call me? Let's talk about it. So I called him. And we had a whole conversation. He was like, well, what were you thinking? And blah, blah. I'm like, I just kind of wanted information about it. And he was like, no. Why don't you come down to the studio and look around and let's just talk about it? So I was like, okay. Curiosity has always been a bad thing for me. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll come down. So I came down to the studio and I actually thought about it at that time. Okay, well, if I had a show, I had a nonprofit at that time, phase 2. And I was like, probably something on like nonprofit leadership or something like that, because it seems to be so daunting in this space. And he showed me around the studio and he was like, well, hey, if you do this show, you have iHeart Radio. And I heard iHeart and was like, whoa, iHeart. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And he was like, it will be live. And I was like, wow, so it'll be live? So we sat down. He was like, after 30 minutes of talking with you, I think people would like you. You have something to say. He was like, I think you should do it. And with no working knowledge, no anything, I signed a contract and was like, cool, we just gonna do it. 2 weeks later, with no training, no anything, I had my producer on this side, I was on this side, and he said, go. And I just kind of went. And, the guy name was Greg. Shouts out to Greg Cooper. Greg gave me some pointers, which the funny thing is, Perry was my very first guest in studio because Greg was like, you're good, but he was like, you should try having some guests. And I was like, who would I get as guests? He was like, start with your friends. And at that time, I think I was with Perry. We were really close, and I got her to come on. And after that, he was like,
we were really close. We were.
I mean, I'm saying at that time, like, I remember. Anyway, we always been close. You know what I mean? So she came in, and after he saw the interview we did, he was like, man, you are amazing with guests. And from there, I just kind of had guests, and it just kind of continued on from there. From that, I went into TV like a year or two later. And same thing, saw an ad on Facebook for TV with the Now Network, call for information. When I asked her about open slots, she was like, well, we have one slot open that's on Mondays, I think at 3. And it was an hour either before or after the radio show. And I was like, okay, this must be God. Signed a contract, had no working knowledge of television, had a meeting with my alumni college. The new department chair was like, what do you need? And I told him, and he called three of his students and gave them to me as interns. And they produced the first season of that show on campus in a classroom. Magazine happened after that, just wanted to get some stuff in writing. And then the movie is the latest thing that happened last year. Started out as a homeless documentary, got reworked by a whole different team, ended up being a in-depth look at apostolic and Pentecostalism, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Perry's in that as well. And honestly, I've just been following God. And once I realized this was the combination of all my gifts, being able to speak well, being not afraid to talk in front of audiences, all this made sense. So I started doing the research. I got in touch with the right people, made the right connections. And before you know it, 5 years later, here we are.
Wow. That's powerful. That's some good stuff. All right, Lonnie, come on and talk to us. What initially attracted you?
Well, it goes all the way back. I started off as an architect first. and always been an artist at heart, drawing, sketching, doing illustration, and end up landing a position drawing for the Los Angeles Police Department, and they had an art contest. So they said, well, if you win, then you will have your art being seen in the museum, which is at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. So I started as an architect. That evolved all the way into as a graphic designer.
Wow.
Because media to me is something that covers not just television or film, but it covers the whole spectrum in regards to photography. And because that's my background as well. I'm a photographer, I'm a graphic designer, and also a producer in television and film. And so all of this started from being an architect to graphic design, and then eventually it rolled all the way into television and film.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, let's take a look here. Would you say, now many of you have already really touched on this, but I just want to clarify this. Would you say that this is a gift and calling for you? Is it just a hobby? Are you just talented and you just know how to do it? Has God actually called you to this?
Well, I'm gonna say, I'm sorry. Is it by
go right.
in order?
Yeah,
or
you can jump in.
Okay, yeah, I would say I'm gonna check D, all the above, because I don't know how to specifically define how I fit in it.
Okay.
You know, like what it is for me, because I feel like it is a gift. I feel like I am talented to do it. I feel like God did call me to do it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I always say I don't know nothing. I don't know anything else. This is what I know. I can do other things.
Yeah.
But this is what I know. And this I can do with my eyes closed. And that's kind of a humble brag, but I say it respectfully.
Yeah.
I can do it with my eyes closed. So I would venture to say that for me, it's all the above. It's, you know, and I could do it for free. So yes, it is a hobby as well.
There you go. There you go. And it takes passion, right?
And it takes a whole lot of passion.
A lot of passion, right? How about you all? Do y'all have the same sentiments? Y'all, is it the same for you, the rest of you?
Yes.
It's the same for me. Go ahead.
Sorry, Marissa. Yes.
Yes, I would say for me, it's definitely my gift. Media follows me everywhere I go. I can't, it's like I can't run from it. I could be at the job and I have to do a radio commercial. Or Marissa, we need you to do this segment on TV. Or Marissa, we need you to do this. It's like I can't run away from it. It's definitely, I keep having dreams about it. Yeah, and I enjoy doing it. Yes, when I hosted Atlanta Live, I did it by myself. And I remember I just cried on set because I just couldn't believe that I was there. So it's definitely my calling.
Awesome. All right, Lonnie.
All right. Yeah, I believe it's all the above, and I believe it's a calling as well as a hobby.
Okay.
God spoke to me in regards to this media. He said, I want media.
Okay.
And he wants to use the gifts and the talents that he's given me to move in that area. And so throughout the years, I've been surrounded by media in churches, teaching television production, teaching film, being on the set from various production companies in Los Angeles and working with Sony and 20th Century Fox Studio. I've just been surrounded by it. But at the moment, see, don't want to work for nobody else. So I said, I want to do my own thing since I believe that's what the Lord is leading me to do in the area of media.
Awesome.
And it's combined media, as I mentioned before. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. Did we get Ricardo? Or I think you had already spoke on that. I heard you say a calling, but let's make sure. You're muted. Okay, there you go.
I feel like it's an extension of the giftings that I have.
Okay.
For me, when I got into media, the people that I idolize, I end up surpassing and get into spaces they wanted to get into. And it wasn't there. It was always time and opportunity. Me, showing up and just doing what I knew how to do. If that meant being there with a camera phone and getting good photos and then posting to social media, that's what I did. If it was using my phone to do audio interviews, that's what I did. I didn't wait for a camera crew. I didn't wait to meet. It was do whatever you could do in that space and get the good interview, make a name for yourself. And from doing that and showing up, the right people I would encounter. I met one PR person, and somehow just working with her got me on everybody's list. So now I get all these invites from all these other great PR people. And the funny thing is, people say it, but it's not a joke. There is always something going on in Atlanta. Literally. Doesn't matter what space, it doesn't matter what creed. There's always something going on, but it's about knowing the gatekeepers. And that's what I tell folks. People never meet the gatekeepers. The people who send the invites, the folks who are in charge of these events. People never meet the gatekeepers. And if you don't meet the gatekeepers, you're not getting in the gate. I've been blessed to meet the gatekeepers. So when stuff is happening, I get the invites. I get the option to bring a +1. Shouts out to my girl, Marvelous Marissa. I made her a promise, made good on it. We said we were going to the Stellars. I took her not even 3 weeks ago. You know,
wow. Can you take me next time?
I mean, you everywhere. I take you everywhere. You asking for more?
I've been in the documentary, but I ain't been to +1 yet.
Oh my God, you don't like the documentary really gets to where it's going, you know. But you know, shouts out to Gary with Wade Studios. I spent 3 months with him because I was in between studios and we had worked together previously. You know,
he was
you
a guest
gotta
on the
meet
show
the right people.
when I was there, right, G?
Yeah, I came when you invited me, and that's how I met him there. And you know, like I said, when I needed a space, I was at his studio. If I need another space, I'll probably come to the studio. You know, but you know, you got to meet the right people. You got to show up. And like I said, for me, it's an extension of who I am because my passion is leadership, and it's about really equipping leaders. Our voices are dying out. You know, the voices that carry the civil rights movement, things of that magnitude. And it's not that others don't exist. They don't have the platform because there's so much white noise. You got to get above the fray. So I feel like that's my calling is to, I call myself the male Oprah, only because I like what she did in her timestamp. In her timestamp, Oprah created space for Dr. Oz, Rachel Ray, all those people that end up being great people in the world. That's how I look at it. I'm creating a platform to introduce the next wave of change agents that need to be heard and seen.
I like it. That's good.
That's wonderful.
You said there was 2 things you said. I like the way you said it was just one connection. So that's a door to doors. Sometimes people are rubbing shoulders and they're trying to manipulate things. All it takes is one door from God, and that's a door to doors. And then you said something else. You and Marvelous Marissa, actually all of you have said it. A lot of the opportunities that have come to you. So it takes a grace for that. So that's an anointing, and that is a calling and a gift, because that's how God moves when his favor is on your life and when you're gifted by God. And so there's certain atmospheres and places and spheres of influence and spaces that you are ordained to be in. And so this is awesome. I love it. Wow. Woo. Now who's full-time? Okay, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
No, on that note, I just want to say it's funny because, and Marissa can attest to this, when we got to the Stellar Awards, Marissa went and sat in the regular room, and I already knew we were supposed to be in a VIP luncheon. So when I went and got her, I was like, let's go. We're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to be here.
I hate to stop you. I want you to carry that on, but I want to stop you because every time you say that Stellar Awards, you know, it just does something to me because I wasn't the +1. But go ahead.
We can do this all night? Are we going to do this all night?
I'm going to be GWay's +1 next time.
There you go. Tell him 2023.
You know, y'all
no, go ahead. Finish.
We went. So I took Marissa back out and we got her wristband. And when we sat down at the VIP luncheon, because this year's Stellar Awards really wasn't about the Stellars. It was really about Stellar TV that Don Jackson had been trying to launch since 2018, since the first time I went to the Stellars. So we were in the VIP breakfast with all his sponsors, Procter & Gamble, Charter Communications, like the VIPs. We sit down and we're literally sitting next to the VIPs, the VIP for programming for Charter Communications in New York. We're literally sitting, he strikes up a conversation with us. And it was, I'm like literally Marissa was there. He sat down and just started talking to us. And we didn't know who he was, but, you know, we were friendly because that's what you do. And finally, when he asked us what we do and we explained information, he was like, well, yeah, we're here representing Charter Communications programming in New York. They're the ones that buy networks. So forget pro, they buy the networks for Charter Communications. Out the gate, that's who we set by that first thing Friday day. So I'm telling you, it's about those divine connections and things of that magnitude.
Yeah. Wow. Let me ask, did you have something, Marissa? Marvelous Marissa? Were you going to say something?
Somebody, I don't know who did, but somebody mentioned that sometimes when you're at the right place at the right time, opportunities happen for you. Well, I went to next radio station in 2019, and I overheard Ricardo say, "I still need a gospel radio host," and I was like, "Wait, I love Jesus," and I'm like, "Hey, you need a gospel radio host?" And he looked at me and he said, "I just found her." And I said, "Oh my God." People was telling me not to do this show.
Wow.
So they were telling me not to do it. But something in me was like, Marissa, do it. Do you not know that by me doing that radio station, it landed me at a job at 104.7 The Fish? When they saw Broken Into Beautiful in Atlanta Live, they said, "You're hired." And then not that, they put me on the radio station hosting a segment. So honestly, it's those divine moments. So I love you.
Yes.
Ricardo.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I was interviewed on the Fish net, whatever that is with a host before on that as well. That is so awesome. Listen, y'all are doing some awesome things. Now I have a question. You know, because sometimes people think that, you know, because they have a good voice, or they just think it's easy to do. They can just do this thing. Does it take a certain personality for this? Do you have to be an outgoing person, someone that's a people person, or someone that can talk? What or is that determined by what lane you're going to be in? Like if you work in media, you just behind the scenes. I mean, just help us out, because some people just think they can do anything. I mean, you know what I mean? Some people just feel like, because I guess what I'm trying to say, what would constitute whether somebody is good at it or not?
Passion.
What is it?
Passion.
Okay.
You got to have a passion to really be successful in media, because there are days people see all the good stuff that I've been able to do, but they don't see the weeks or months where I'm not doing a lot and I'm just kind of working or trying to, decide what's next. People don't see all that. I've been in media, which is really in the scope of things is not long. I've only been in media 5 years. That's not very long when you look at the span of other people's career in media. But in those 5 years, I've been able to excel, because even when there was no accolades, when people wasn't clicking like or wasn't tuning in, I still kept going. And
you sure did.
Because there was passion behind it. I believe
GWay as well. I noticed that with him too.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I remember I went to a session with Mo Quick from one of those secular stations, and I was like, I'm gonna go to this, and I'm gonna find out some more information, to keep me going. And I remember the guy did it, and when he was done, I went up to him and I was like, so how do you really get into media? And he was like, I said, if you're not entertainment, he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm trying to be the next Tavis Smiley or the next Roland Martin. I'm not trying to be an entertainer type. And he looked at me and was like, honestly, I don't know what to tell you. He was like, because it's hard to be. But that didn't discourage me. It empowered me, because I was like, that just reassures me that there is a void that I have been designed to fill. And I just have to keep going until my audience finds me. So that's what kept me going in those days when people wasn't really encouraging, because they really didn't think they like what I do. But when I explained it, they watched it, people were like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Especially the politics stuff. I didn't know that's what that meant. I didn't realize, after they passed that bill, that was going to affect my food stamps or my housing. So I had to stay and be dedicated and believe that I had been chosen for that space that has been voided for a while, and stick with it. So it's got to be passion. Like I tell folks when they ask about starting a podcast, if you're not going to set aside consistent time to do it and be consistent with it, don't waste your energy, because it's not going to just take off tomorrow. Now you may be fortunate, one in a million that you do it and it takes off, but the vast majority of them never take off, and they get discouraged and they quit. You got to have the passion for it, and you got to believe and find your niche before you get into it, or be willing to bumble around until you find your niche or your click. Because if not, you can book it up.
Wow. G, I want you to chime in on this, because how long have you been in media?
Well, like I said,
Well,
my if I, if I'm going to say my start, it was
I
the
mean, your
seventh
business.
grade, but I don't want to count that summer job,
Okay.
But my first getting paid was when I came here to Atlanta.
Okay.
Over at, like I said, I interned for 3 days. I got hired, and so that was in 2005. And so, fortunately for me, I've been able to make a career with it, with radio, and at this point, even television, even transitioning with the studio. The studio doesn't pay for itself, and thank God, we have clients that come through, such as Ricardo, who used to be one of our clients, who I still consider him a client. So you come on back, son. Come on back.
Right.
But no, it's it's like they said, that word to keep circulating is passion. If you can't, I always say, if you can't do it for free, don't even bother, because you're wasting your time, because this thing right here will tick you off at times. You know what I'm saying? This thing right here will make you wonder, like, who even decided that I should be doing this? Who was the decided? Who made that decision for me? And then you wake up each day saying, but I still got to do it though.
Got to get in
because
there.
It's in me. And I always said it's somebody asked me some time ago, I was telling them some stuff that I wanted to do. This is when I first was getting started here in Atlanta. And he said, how did you get into all that stuff? I said, I didn't. I'm trying to get it out of me. It's in me, and I'm just trying to get it out. It's just a passion. You just have to keep pushing. You got to keep pushing, and you just got to keep pushing. And like Ricardo said, even when you look and you got like 2 views, you're like, well, you got to keep recording. You got to keep putting out a show until you get 4, until you get 10. It takes a minute, and for some people it will pop, but for others it will take a minute.
You got to till the ground. It takes consistency and determination, that momentum, that motivation. And because I have witnessed both of you all, when you continued on, even if it was 2 viewers, 1 like, and I saw that's tenacity. It's passion. And so that's because it's going to pay off at some point, but some people don't ever get to that point, because they give up. So I like it. This is awesome. Lonnie, go ahead and jump in there as well, as far as being, just having a passion for it and how it has kept you, because I know it's been a lot of days of discouragement in media.
Yes.
So what keeps you going?
Passion and purpose.
Oh, okay. I like it. Yeah.
Passion and purpose. I mean, you can have a lot of passion, but if the purpose is not there, you have to have a reason why you're doing it. And I have a reason why I'm doing it. It's the purpose that drives me. Okay. Whether I'm editing, whether I'm doing photography, whether I'm doing graphic design and visual effects, it's the purpose behind it that's driving me to do what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Whether I have clients or not, I'm still plowing. I'm still building. When I first started the radio podcast, I did not have any equipment. I said, Lord, why are you asking me to go into radio? He said, well, you were involved in it before. I want you to get back into it. I said, well, I need some equipment. So I said, okay, well, I'm asking you, give me some equipment. I start doing my research. I start seeking. I start asking questions. What type of equipment should I get? But I want the type of equipment that's going to give out the best quality.
Yeah.
Okay? And then lo and behold, I got blessed pretty much with some equipment.
Awesome.
To start the podcast. And we only been doing the podcast for less than 2 years now. And we started the podcast during the pandemic. During the pandemic, where everybody else was falling apart.
Right.
And that took a step of faith. I said, Father, you said you want me to do this, so we're going to step out and we're going to do it by faith. And he brought it to pass. And now we're on iHeart. We are on all the different destination sites right now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes.
Pushing our thing called informational truth that you can live by.
Yes, and I love it.
The passion that I speak of, and passion and purpose.
Good. Wow. Passion, well, wait a minute. I'm just taking an assessment here because I've been on all of these shows. I've been on Connect Radio. I've been up here now. Marvelous Marissa. No, I'm not. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I have been. You got me. All right. I'm gonna be her plus one. All right. Well, listen. I want to ask this question. How does church media ministry differ from secular media? Some people feel like, hey, I know I've been on the media ministry team at church for 20 years. So they feel like, I know how to do this. Is it the same? Is it a difference? What, whoever can speak from that place, because maybe I don't know if anyone has done church media. Well, I know Lonnie has. So you've done both, right? Yeah.
Yes, I have. Well, in reference to the difference between in the world, like the scripture says, be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. And that word communication deals with media. So it's a matter of which medium are you using it for? See, we can be in media, but how we're using it is going to determine the difference. Are we going to be able to produce evil communication? Or are we going to produce good communication? And that's what I had to learn. Even though I was in the industry working with 20th Century Fox Studio and Sony, I got a chance to see behind the scene how things were done. So I was learning bits and pieces of everything so that I can take what I was learning and apply it to what God is showing me, what he wants me to do in the area of media.
Yeah. And you also did media, church media for Dr. Frederick Casey Price.
Fred Price
that
in Los Angeles.
That was a great experience, I'm sure. Wow.
Yes.
Here's another thing that I noticed. So when you're doing media, sometimes, is it a textbook something? Is it a guideline, a one size fits all? It takes judgment, right? I mean, you have to, it's not, let me see what, bullet point 2 say about this. You have to have experience, wisdom. I mean, you got to make a proper judgment on when you get ready to snap a shot. What's a good this or what? Let's just talk a little bit from that place, because sometimes I think people, they don't really know what it all entails. They're just fascinated by the lights, camera, or radio or broadcast and all that. But there's some other stuff that has to happen to make it be successful and make it be something that pops or stand out. And so, can you all just talk from that place a little bit, capturing certain things, what would you say? I mean, I don't know how I can word this, but I guess what I'm saying, let's say you're in motion, you're on a set, or let's just talk from a place of TV. Let's talk TV, and let's say you're capturing a video. You're doing a video. For instance, Lonnie, you just did it at the back to school event, right? So what is good? What is good media? What is something? Oh, we don't need that. Just kind of give us a little synopsis of something like that, Ricardo.
I think I know
Ricardo,
what you're getting at.
Yeah,
so,
I'm trying to get at it. I can't.
I think I know what you're saying.
The terminology. GWay didn't teach me everything.
Right.
Too soon. See, that's
he doesn't have teach.
That's what happened when you had base.
He doesn't have.
See, I teach everything not everything I know. You know what I'm saying? That's a joke. I kid.
I mean, okay. So I think what you're getting at is people need to definitively know who they are when they decide to get into media.
Okay.
And I say that because I knew coming into media that I was the leadership guy. That it didn't matter how the dice fell. It didn't matter what the picture looked like. Leadership was what I wanted to do. Now, how that panned out when I was out in the field, so be it. But I knew that leadership was going to be it for me. I was fortunate because I had people strategically placed in my life that kind of helped guide that journey. When I was at Love 860, Greg ended up leaving. And this lady, shouts out to Andrea Walker. Andrea came in, and Andrea had been in the carpets and all that stuff. So she called me in a meeting and she was like, look, out of all the hosts on the network currently, you have the most potential. She was like, because your leadership, you can go anywhere. She was like, you shouldn't be limited in any space. And she was like, have you thought about she was like, you need to start looking at red carpets. And I was like, how do you even get on those? She was like, you need to look at red carpets. She was like, I don't know if she brought it up or I looked it up. And that's how the Stellas came to be. Because she was like, you need to find red carpets. And I was like, well, this is a gospel station, so I should be doing the Stella Awards. And that's how I ended up going to the Stella Awards for the first time in 2018. And I recognized from there, it doesn't matter where I go, as long as leadership, which is pretty much in everything, is involved, I can do what I want to do. But I had to come into it knowing that I wanted to do leadership. And it saved me from becoming the entertainment guy or the blogger, because that's not who I am and that's not who I want to be. So even when those opportunities crossed my path, I didn't get the big head because I was like, this is an extension of leadership. I didn't get these interviews because I went looking for Hezekiah Walker. I didn't go looking for Gary with the T. I stayed in my space and I did what I did. And as a result of it, it attracted all these different types of leaders to me. So you got to know who you are when you get into the media space, because if not, you will be. And I had, and Marissa knows, you know, we were at IBNX, there were 6 or 7 shows that were around our shows. Wow. Very few of them are around now. And we're only talking about 2019. Very few of them are still in existence because a lot of them got caught up in that current and they couldn't stand strong in who they wanted to be and what their shows stood for. So you have some concept of who you want to be, how far you're going to go, where you're not going to go, and what just is and isn't acceptable for what you're trying to create. Most people go in with that concept.
That's interesting. That's some good stuff that you said. I'm gonna let you all jump in, but you also just said something because so you have to know who you are. You have to have your standard, have that clear, concise direction, where you're going, what's your aim, what's your target, right? But as the world changes, you also are evolving. But what you're saying is you evolve, but not enough, not too much where you're losing yourself.
Yes, that's the gist of it. Like you gotta be able to stand firm. And I mean, and that's not to say that you have it all figured out, because I still don't. There's so much. GWay probably still knows more about this space than I do. But in those 5 years, every time I evolved, I learned more and I got more inquisitive. So that I was asking more questions. You know, I was finding new people to connect with, you know, things of that magnitude, so that I was ever evolving to the space that I ended up evolving to people that I idolize. Because you got to be, we say it all the time, you got to be hungry for it. And you got to really recognize that this is a space God has called you to. And because I've been called to this space, I got to perfect it. And that's always in my mind. So even when I was at Love 86, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but what I do know is that whatever I'm going to do, it's got to look the best, it's got to be the best, and I got to be the best. So I've carried that spirit of excellence every space that I've gone into. You know, so that not only are people blessing me, I'm being a blessing to them. You got to know those kinds of things.
That's good.
That's right.
Wow. There's someone. I'm gonna let y'all jump in because Ricardo keep giving me every time. Now you're bringing something else up because, isn't it also where you have to give the people what they want? You know, I was watching a documentary about Victoria's Secret and the CEO of the I forgot what he called it, the Limited brand. And so they were saying that over time, you know, he was killing it in the industry. But over time, because things started evolving, he wouldn't adjust and he wouldn't make the proper changes. And he was still trying to do those supermodels and this little skinny body type and all that. But the women's movement, I think
it was the Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yes. Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah, he has a whole lot under that Limited brand, Victoria's Secret and all of that. And so then, you know, they would get into the plus size models and all of that, women feeling good about themselves and not trying to look like these, you know, whatever, you know, skinny models and all that stuff. And he wouldn't make that transition. And he kind of lost, you know, sight of things, but also lost out on some millions too, you know, for not giving the people what they wanted and not transforming, you know, with the times and making that transition. Is media the same? Is
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Like,
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna get weight on this one. So there was
Okay.
a show that I did when I was at Love 860, and I did not understand the difference between terrestrial radio and the whole podcasting thing. So I was
Okay.
like, who can I get to help me with this? And that's when I called Wade,
Yeah.
and he came on, and we did a whole show on podcasting versus terrestrial. And it was from there that I was like, oh, I get it. So I was able to transition out of Love 860 into IBNX, which is more the podcasting space, because that's where we were moving to.
Got it.
But I had to use what I had to get what I need. And at that time, still, Wade was the expert. So I had to come on and we talked about it. And from there, I was able to be like, okay, now I understand. And I was able to move differently.
Yeah.
So you gotta, and it's business. Media is still business at the end of the day. Meaning you still gotta go with the trends. You still gotta follow what's going on. You just can't lose yourself, like you said, in the process.
G, jump in there, GWay.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Ricardo. And when you mentioned about giving the people what they want, you know, when I started the radio show here in Atlanta, we were Honor and Glory Radio.
Yeah.
So we've always been a faith-based Christian show, right? But Honor and Glory Radio, I'm gonna be totally honest. Honor and Glory Radio, the title kept limiting us to where we were trying to go.
Yes.
Because we would get people who I wanted to talk to and sit down with say, is this a Christian show? And so it came kind of with I hate to say a negative stigma to it, but it kind of had a thing.
The truth.
And I was like, all right, well, we gotta figure something out. So I said, okay, I'm gonna change the name. So then I changed it to GWay Radio Show. And so that allowed me to get into different doors, because like I mentioned early on, somebody told me I should be in radio while I was outside. You understand? So I've always just been in the urban arena. I'm in the streets, if you know, to put it that way. So I like to talk to people who don't go to church. I like to talk to people who don't think about Christ. I like to talk to people who talk like I do, because that's how I learned about God. Somebody was talking like me, and I was like, what? Who is this God? I want to know him. You know what I'm saying? And so that called me to do what I do, or that called me to Christ. So I transitioned. So even as time moved on, I said, well, this radio thing, I'm in a different arena now. I'm not on terrestrial radio anymore. I'm on the internet, and I'm still calling it a radio show. Let me change that. I'm just going to go to what it is happening right now. Everything's a podcast.
It's podcast.
And everybody got one. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody got one.
Everybody got one. So I just continued to move with this. So we went from Honor and Glory Radio to GWay Radio Show to GWay Podcast. And so that allows me to move in different spaces. You know, early on, you know, when you said podcast, people looked at you like,
you're right.
Radio is still
that ain't
thing.
Real.
But now radio, terrestrial, like Ricardo said, is like, no, that's cool. But a podcast, everybody got it. You can look at any celebrity, they got a podcast. You know what I'm saying? So you got to give the people what they want while staying true to who you are. And like I said, I'm in an urban space, and that's the way I like to kick it. So I come with Christ, but you don't know it until you know it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You ain't saved until you say. You don't gave your life to Christ, didn't even know you did it.
You didn't even know. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? I like that though, because to be honest, you know, let's see. Honestly, we can, if it's safe to say, this is a form of evangelism.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it is.
It really
yes,
is.
It is.
Modern day evangelism, you know, to be honest. And so when you know what your metron is, what your vein is, and how God uses you, because the truth of the matter is, God is looking for someone he can send into the marketplace, right? And if we don't recondition our minds about what Christianity is and how God wants to draw people to him, we're gonna continue to be lost. You know, so there are people that are edgy, that have certain styles, certain personalities that God will use to win souls and to save souls to Jesus Christ. And it's not going to be a traditional method. You know, one thing I say is, you know, Jesus, he changed his method, but he never changed the message.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, and so sometimes it's a method message, you know, so you gotta So I love the way that you said you had to change the Glory on the radio. That didn't have nothing to do with your relationship and God, but at the same time, you were blocking yourself or hindering yourself from expansion. See, there's a difference between exposure and expansion. So you can get exposure on Honor and Glory Radio, but on GWay Radio, you're now expanding. So you got a larger audience now. So I love it. I love it. All right. Ooh, great. This is some good stuff.
Yeah.
I hope you all, audience, thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all are really getting some good stuff here. If y'all have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And just a few more moments. I do want to, I'm sorry, Lonnie, were you going to chime in there anywhere?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I agree with Ricardo. I agree with Gary. You know, you
Mhm.
have to have your own lane. I mean, everybody on this platform have something to say through media, through the medium of media. But it's something that God gave us to say. And we stand in our own lane to project that to the world. See, because media it's a portal. It's a medium that we can go through, a portal to the masses of people. Whatever that message is, you're affecting those crowds of people in what God has given you to say.
Yes.
Like my podcast is about informational truth that you can live by. See, you cannot put a cap on that, pretty much. You don't know what that informational truth is about. But it can be anything. See, but we keep it in perspective towards the word of God. And I personally stay in my lane and do what God has showed me to do in reference to media. And I agree with the gentleman and Marissa as well in regards to what you guys are doing. You guys are doing awesome. Marissa, I've been following you and I've been seeing what you've been doing too. And it's awesome. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's move into this because we're going to be, I do want to do this though. I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of your highs and lows. We've kind of really touched on a lot of that already. But I would love to hear about some of your bloopers and blunders in this thing and some of the do's and don'ts. But before we get into that, and I want to hear about, because y'all have already been sharing about some of the greatest opportunities that you all have had. I don't want to hear, so we want to hear something about some of these guests. I know I've heard Ricardo bring out, talk about some of Hezekiah Walker and a few other people. I don't know some of the guests that you all have interviewed, and did you find them interesting? Or I know you can't say for so much and everything, but I know when I was on with GWay and we had some awesome guests come through there. Oh my goodness! So, but real quickly, what I want to do is I do want to bring up, your co-host, Lonnie. I want to bring up your co-host, Siobhan Camp, for a few moments, just to share from the place of co-hosting. And I know I had an awesome time co-hosting. GWay. I had a serious blooper or whatever, blunder one time, but I'm not going to mention it. But
you got to tell now.
Sometimes I still need glasses. I don't know why I haven't gotten glasses yet, because I need glasses. And when I tell you I misread something, and what did I say? I hope you edited that thing.
No, I did not. I think it still exists out there. Y'all go check it out.
Right.
It's still out there.
Yes.
I was like, what? After I said, I was like, really? That? Oh my God. But anyway, so I know you all have had some times. Well, before she comes on, just give me some of your, what are some of the mistakes or common mistakes? Sometimes it can make you feel like, oh my God, it's just me. But it could be a common mistake in media.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, this was listen, since you brought it up, you were co-hosting. And if you go look at the comments right now, they're right there. I won't mention the guests right now, but we had a gospel singer. She came in, and the problem was me and you joked the whole time. We overtalked the guests the whole time. Like, didn't give her the opportunity to really Hawker wears. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, if you go and read the comments to it, people were honestly, they were going in. They was like,
Oh my
you know,
God.
you know, because one, you had mentioned the wrong name of a song. You know, you it was a song from another group. It was all kind of crazy stuff that was happening, and you know, but honestly, I had fun.
Yeah.
But we didn't handle the interview.
We didn't do it right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And looking back at it and listening and reading the comments, I realized, yeah, that was true. Listen, I got to eat that one. That's true.
Okay.
That's what we did. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So,
Well,
over talking the guests is a big no. Yeah.
Okay. Send me that.
I'm gonna send you the link.
Yeah, send me that. I gotta check it out. Oh my God. Okay. Woo. Well, listen, I'm gonna bring. Go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead.
One mistake I made, and I cried after the show was over. I said my guest. I said her name wrong throughout the whole entire show, and this was national television.
Wow.
And I apologized to her. I said, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
I couldn't even look her in the eye. And she said, "You lucky, you lucky, Marissa. You're marvelous. You lucky, you're marvelous."
Yes.
I said her name wrong throughout the whole entire show, but to my surprise, she wanted to come back on my show. So,
wow, nice.
Well, that's awesome.
That's
That
good.
meant you did well.
That's right.
Right.
That's it.
and thank you for the compliment, Lonnie. I follow you as well.
Wow.
Thank you.
I didn't post it because I don't talk about it. But since everybody's sharing their war stories,
got to.
I was doing a celebrity carpet.
Okay.
And the people that were on the celebrity roster, they were more social media people and not really like old school celebrities. So I really thought I had a handle on it. And I'm gonna call her name. Bevy Smith came on the carpet. Okay. And I was listening while somebody else interviewed her, and I thought I caught what they asked her, but I didn't. So when I got to her, she was just like, I said, "So, tell me about this new podcast you have," and blah, blah. And she's like, "My podcast is not new. I've had this podcast for 10 years, and you need to do your research." And she sashayed off. And I was just kind of like,
and because she a diva anyway.
Yeah, she pulled no punches, but it was a lesson I needed because if anybody knows me, which most of you do, I don't do scripted interviews. My interviews are solely off my head, celebrity or otherwise. I've never written questions. I may write some stuff I need to remember, but I've never written questions. So I had gotten cocky. And when I did Bevy, I didn't know enough about Bevy to pull it off. And she made sure that I knew when I was done that I need to go back and regroup because I'm not there. And it was embarrassing. Luckily, it was not a big carpet, so it wasn't a lot of people around me. But she read me for filth, and then she just walked off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lonnie, do you have any of those?
Well, yeah, my co-host, I'm going to use her.
I'm going to bring her up right
she
now.
She may be looking right. Yeah.
Hi.
There she's.
This is my spiritual daughter, Shavanzel, MIT Shavanzel Camp. Oh, let's hear this story.
Well, there are times that we'll go live and she's singing on air. And we have the guests ready to come on. And I said, "Siobhan, we're live." She said, oops, right on live broadcast. Because she loves to sing.
Making a joyful
but
noise.
You know what? The guest was okay with that. They said, "Well, keep on singing. We love what you're singing. Keep on singing." So, but they loved it. Yeah.
She sings so beautifully on that praise team at ARM, but that's not the praise team though, is it, Lonnie?
Okay.
So I'm going to give you just a few moments, Shavanzel. But I remember now with the social media, like sometimes now I know that sometimes I'll go back and listen. And at one time I was having some issues with my connection and I was lagging. And so it was like I was coming in all over top of people the way that it was playing out, because sometimes I couldn't hear them, but it was crazy. And I was like, so I don't know. So sometimes these connections can kind of mess you up too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's
Siobhan,
fun.
introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your experience, and we will be. I'll just be giving you.
Hello, everybody. I don't know
Hello.
if you guys can hear me. The internet, my Wi-Fi is
Oh.
acting a little funny, so hopefully I'm not freezing like a robot, like that.
Yeah.
So, my name is Siobhan Zell Camp, and I am the senior producer as well as radio co-host with Mr. Lonnie Ratliff for Connect Radio Group. I am the funny, bubbly, laughing one. I like to joke. I like to I always tell people I'm kind of like Jesus. I like to use parables. So I'm going to always relate everything to the natural as well as the spirit. So I just like to have fun. As you see, Lonnie's already laughing. I haven't said anything funny yet, but he's already laughing because he's anticipating me to say something funny. But it's great to see everybody. And to meet everybody, Miss Marvelous Marissa, GWay, I do know you because I did come to your studio one time and
You've been on the show.
With Ryan Ellis, and Ricardo. As always, you're awesome fun, and of course my lovely apostle Harry, my leader. And thank you for the opportunity.
Wow. You know what? I appreciate you all. Every time I call any of you, I mean, y'all are available. So I thank y'all so much. So I want to add this. I mean, I just want to ask this, and then we'll be heading out. But when you have a co-host, it's like a relationship, right? Okay. So you need to gel. You need to personality wise, is it good to have opposites? Or should you match energy? Like, what is it? Or is that determined off of the type of show that you have? It may be a need for good cop, bad cop type of thing, or one that's more, one is funny, one is not. I mean, how to help me out there, or help the audience out there?
For Lonnie and I, Lonnie's more. I always tell him he's more the subdued, professional, straight, straightforward, kind of in the box type of guy. I'm more of the wild one, the wildflower. I'm the one, again, that's going to joke. I'm going to laugh loud. I may be singing when you come on, and like you said, I'm singing. I'm really singing, right? Because I'm in my own world. And so I think having different personalities can work sometimes because if you got two serious people on, it's just like a relationship. You got to have a balance. If you're both serious, where does the fun come in, right?
Right.
So you have to have the balance because it also makes for good content as well.
Yes,
because we actually bounce ideas off of one another.
We do.
And we always come together to talk about things first before we do anything.
Okay.
The subject matters. We also give each other's notes. So read that and tell me what you think. And he may say, "No, don't add that." And I'm like, "But why not?" Because we still human. Like, why not? Well, you may not need to say that, Siobhan Zell. So I think different personalities work well. That's for us. I don't know about anybody else, but that's for us. Yes, ma'am.
And I agree with Siobhan Zell. I'm more the serious type, as you guys probably already know. But that's my personality. Yeah. That's just me. I cannot be nobody else. God told me to be who I am. Because there's somebody out there that wants me. They don't want nobody else but
that's
me.
Right.
They don't want nobody else but Ricardo. They don't want nobody else but Marissa. They don't want anybody else but Gary. They don't want anybody else but D Perry.
That's
they want the original you. So there is a lane for everyone. And that's why God created us so unique.
I like it.
I agree with that. Yes.
I think it makes a difference because I went through this when I first did Leadership Blend, the show. When I moved from Love 860 to IBNX, I was like, I don't want to do this show by myself. I want some other people with me. So I started with the panel, interviewed them, and was like, I knew the vision in my head, but I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try something a little different because people were saying, oh, well, you should do this and you should try that, and maybe so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. We did the show for about. And that was season 4 for about 3 episodes. And I was kind of like, this is cute, but I was like, this is not what I envisioned for my show. And it got to a point, but I let it go on. And it got to a point where I had some friends come on, some non-Black friends. And one of the co-hosts made a joke that wasn't funny. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try something a little different. and it was a sexual joke, and it crossed the line. And I was like, okay, now you got it. It was like God was like, okay, I let you do this, but you notice this wasn't what I gave you. So I was gonna see how long you were gonna go with it. Now I've got to stop it because it's not where I told you to go. And it was at that moment that I was like, okay, yeah, this is not working. And luckily, they all kind of went their own ways, and they kind of disintegrated. And from there, I did interviews and was able to find and Wade, Simone. And I was able to get Simone. And when Simone came in, perfect fit. Simone, if you ever heard my Delisha Ben Live podcast, Simone is she works on the hill. So she understands all of that stuff. I'm the layman's guy. So I get to switch roles when we're doing Leadership Blend podcast. I don't have to be the serious one. Simone is the serious one. She understands the language. She understands the lingo. I get to be the funny one that people don't really see that often because I'm always the serious one. So with Simone, she does that part. I do the layman's term. So when we're talking about legislation, I ask from the average Joe perspective. Hey, I know y'all using all these big words, but what does that mean for me, the average Joe? What does that actually mean? Yeah. So we worked perfectly together, and it was amazing because our very first guest was he's now the DA of Cobb County, Flynn Brody. He was her very first guest. And from day one, we played off each other so well. He was like, man, how long y'all been doing this? And I was like, this is actually her very first show. He was like, man, y'all are amazing together. But the person has to understand the vision of the show. Because if they don't get it and they start bringing in their own spices, but it's not the vision for the show,
chaos.
It goes to absolute chaos and everything is destroyed. Luckily, I was able to salvage it. And, me and Simone have been able to build something amazing together.
Wow. That's
wonderful.
Good. That's good.
Okay, I got to ask this question. Ricardo, how do you think it was with me and you hosting a show together? How do you think that was?
We put you on the spot.
Show.
I'm going to put GWay on the spot. Go ahead.
That's dirty, Marissa.
Now, how you think it was with me and you, Ricardo, hosting the show together? Because I was bubbly and you was feeding off of me.
What? Wait, whoa. Shift it back. What are you talking about?
Remember when you did the holiday show together? Your holiday show. We introduced the show together, and I was also on your podcast.
Okay, the holiday show does not count because I really give that to you. So that's really, I facilitate.
Answer the question, Ricardo.
But that's the answer, though. I facilitate the Christmas show, but honestly, it's Marissa's show because she does all the hosting. I just get the guests and get everything together. It's really Marissa's show, and the reality is, since you want to go there, the reality is, you know what? No, I'm gonna put you on blast. Since you're trying to call me, I'm gonna put you on blast. So here's what really happened in 2019 when I called Marissa. So when I took over as program director for IBNX, we were creating different stations, and I said we have a gospel station we're not using, and I was like, we need a signature gospel show, and I was like, Lord, who can I get? And Marissa flashed before me. So I reached out to Marissa and was like, hey, I've been watching you. I know you're amazing. I know you make a great show, and I would love to have you as a host. And Marissa was kind of like, let me, I'll see and whatnot. And I knew, and Perry, you know this about me. I was like, I know what God told me, but I'm going to see how this plays out. So we went on. I think it was like the next day, and she called me and was like, I prayed about it, and the Lord told me to do it. And I was like, I already knew that, but you clearly needed to know that, so it's fine. And Marissa went on to have the #1 show on IBNX with the Praise in You, and from there we just ended up having this. I look at her like a little sister. She's like my little sister in media. And the funny thing about Marissa is when you meet Marissa, you don't think she's real because she's so bubbly. She's so it's like rainbows and unicorns every day.
Who's happy all the time? I really didn't think.
I was like, there's gotta be, the shoe is gonna drop at some point. Nobody is this innocent and this like bubbly all the time, but she really is. And I actually felt sorry for her. When we went to the Stellars, because honestly, the Stellars, it's an amazing experience. But Marissa's used to smaller carpets where they kind of give you room to do what you do, and they don't really bother you. The Stellars is a whole different ballgame. It's eat or be eaten at the Stellar Awards red carpet. And this year was
Somebody
actually kind
need
of
to
worse
mute.
because they put us in a small room. So there were 60 outlets on top of each other trying to get to the carpet. And, you know, Marissa gets there and she's just like, she's looking around. I felt so sorry for her, but it was a lesson she had to learn.
Yeah.
And by the end of the night, Marissa had made her way to the front. She had gotten her a couple of good interviews. So, you know, kudos to Marissa. And to answer your question directly, I love hosting with you because you make it anybody that I can host with that I don't have to do any work. It's all right.
That's good.
And with Marissa,
Yeah.
all I have to do is pave the way and push her. She gets it done. And
That's
people
good.
love Marissa. So
That's
yes,
awesome.
I adore having you in it, you know, because you just kind of do it and you love to do it. I don't really love red carpets. I do them because they're a necessary evil. And me and Wade talk about this all the time because I try to get him to do more. They're a necessary evil in media because if you don't do red carpets, you're not going to be seen by people.
That's
and a lot
right.
of on these carpets, not only are there other outlets, there are other PR people. There are the people that facilitate the events that are paying attention to who shows up. How do you do? How do you put your material up? How long it takes you to post your stuff? They look at all of that. And if you don't do it, you don't get invited back.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's really a lot. You know, lucky for me out the gate, I just kind of found a rhythm to do red carpets. You do them, you do some slight editing, but for me, I like to just do the raw footage. And I turn it out right after the event is over with. I have friends that take weeks, and the publicists pay attention to that. So they start marking you off their list, and you don't get invited back to certain things. And that's the part people don't know about doing red carpets and stuff. Yeah, it's cute that you out there. But if they don't ever see, because you got to remember, it's a machine. So they invite us out because our individual outlets and what they've learned, and I learned this from the Black Music Honors, because at one point, they would never invite us small outlets to do the Black Music Honors. Oh, no. This is for the big names to come out and cover us because we need it. What they've learned is it's these smaller outlets that are actually giving them more momentum and getting them more looks and likes because we're more on social media than those big ones. So this year, they invited a lot of us to do the Black Music Honors, which is a very big deal. They actually reached out to us, not us reaching out to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a little tidbit for those that like doing red carpets. You gotta turn your footage out within a 24-hour cycle because the PR people are paying attention, and if they don't see the footage, they strike you off their list.
Yes.
Wow.
That is correct.
You know, the dispensation that we're in, the big, you know, the new big is small. You know,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
So go ahead.
Please allow me to big up my co-host because I've had a bromance with Deacon Dirty since 2006. And that's my dog. I mean, he has been with me. You know, that sounds weird to say, but he has been with me since 2006. We have Rock Radio.
That's good.
Now podcast. He followed me here to the studio, Waywork Studios, and he sits over there. Now he's not here tonight. He was here earlier today. We did some recording, but I say, you know, I will take loyalty over anything because Deacon Dirty has been the most loyal, and everybody can attest that you've seen Deacon Dirty walk through these doors and on every show. And it's rare that you would see him miss a show. I can count on one hand with fingers left over how many times he may have missed the show. But no, Deacon Dirty, that's my dog.
Yeah,
he really
Dirty. Is. Yeah, he really is.
Wait, now I gotta ask Marissa, since you asked me.
Oh my Lord.
Now I'm asking you, since you asked me, what is it like when we together and whatnot?
Please tell him that you love him.
Oh, she disappeared.
You want to know what I think of you?
Oh boy.
That was my fault.
No, I absolutely love working with Ricardo. He was definitely an angel sent in my life, and he reached out to me. And you know, I never met him before. He just wrote me on Facebook, and you know, I hosted his red carpet at his women's conference. So. And that was so much fun. Then that turned into another paid hosting engagement for me. Then it just kept coming back to back to back. So I love working
Mhm.
with you, Ricardo. I love seeing you on the red carpet. But to answer your prior question about co-hosting, Apostle, it's weird with me when I co-host with other people. It's interesting because they have bubbly personalities too. So that's just a
Okay.
whole energetic 2-hour show that we do together.
It's a whole move.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, you know what, Marissa? I really hope you can be able to co-host with Siobhan Zell because you guys will be bubbling all over the
You know,
place.
Siobhan said we gotta do it one day, girl.
That's gonna be a
That's it.
marathon.
That's
We gotta do
right.
it one day.
A marathon show.
What?
Yeah.
Y'all got to open up with the duet though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Okay.
You sing?
Okay.
And that's gonna y'all gonna
She ain't got to sing. She ain't got to
shut-in.
know how to sing. She just got to sing. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine.
They're
That's
gonna
what I'm
even invent the shut-in show. You know, like a fresh shut-in, they're gonna invent the
Right.
shut-in radio show, 24
Yeah.
hours, constant
Yes.
radio.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
well, listen, it has been awesome. I tell you, I have enjoyed you all tonight. Thank y'all so
Thank
much.
you.
I didn't see any questions come in from the audience, but we appreciate you all, our viewers, those of you that have tuned in. Watch the replay, send it to someone that you know may have an interest in media, entertainment. Share it on your Facebook pages and all of that. In the last few moments, what would be just a word of advice, even though y'all have been giving advice all throughout? Well, hold on. I do want to ask this because I was getting ready to ask it and we got sidetracked. As far as those of you that are doing it full-time or part-time, for those of you that are not doing it full-time, what's stopping you?
No one that all speak at once.
That's what
Okay.
follow the
check.
money. A check. I like that's the most realest answer.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all right.
the deal.
So let me say this.
Okay.
And this goes back to people making decisions about how they want to move and who they want to be.
Okay.
After Love 860, I made a decision because I paid a lot of money to be on Love 860 when I did it. And honestly, I never got a real return on that money that I spent. If I'm being honest, I did not.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
it was cute to say that I had iHeart, and it did kind of help me get to the Stellars because they saw iHeart. But as far as a lot of the stuff that I figured I should have gotten, marketing for my show, because it was a new show, I didn't know anything. Marketing, publicity, things of that magnitude, I did not get. And I paid a lot of money to be at Love 860. So I made a choice after that I don't want to be held by sponsors or things of that magnitude. I want to be able to move freely to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So I made a choice that I will be self-funded so that I'm not held at the mercy of having sponsors or things of that magnitude. So that's when I found studios that don't cost me an arm and a leg. I found people that do me. I actually found interns, and most of you have seen my interns. All three of y'all have seen my interns. I've had strong teams of interns since I started. And no, I never paid them, but I understood the dynamics of an internship. It should be a give and take. It was never all take.
Yes.
I knew what you were trying. I knew what they were trying to do when they got with me, and I made sure I gave them the space and the opportunities to do those things on my dime. So when we were in the studio, when I was at Wade, no, I paid that with every Monday. I paid for all of that every time we were in the studio, even though 7 interns showed up and had the benefits of being, doing what they do. I paid for that. When I moved over to the Plug ATL, I pay for that. When you see me in studio, I pay for all of that. And I'm happy to do it because when I get where I'm going and the bill is being paid and they look at my stuff, I did that. Me and the Lord, we did that. I worked every day to pay for every set that we were on, from the documentary to studio time. I paid for that. So I made the decision out the gate. I don't want to be held I don't want to be held hostage by trying to find sponsors because they finicky. I've had friends that have sponsors. One day they in, the next day they out. Now you can't do anything because you're used to having somebody else pay for stuff. You'll never hold me hostage. That's always been my ideology with doing media. Nobody will ever hold me hostage. So if I want to do, like, I'm getting ready for season 5 of the TV show, I want to go harder. I will happily foot the bill for it because it's my show and I paid for it. So if you want to be a part of it, cool. Yeah. But know that I call the shots because I pay for it.
Wow. And you're investing in yourself.
Exactly. So
investing
I can
in
say
your
when
promise,
I get to
your
open
purpose,
level,
your destiny, and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
When I get to open level and we talk about where I came from, hey, when you see all those seasons of the TV show and the podcast, All of that was paid for by my hard work when I go to work. And I'm happy to do it because that's the decision that I made when I started doing media.
Yeah.
So you got to know that. That's another thing you got to know when you start up. Hey, am I going to do sponsors, which are finicky, or if I'm going to self-fund, or if I'm going to find, a grant or something, because that's apparently a thing too. You got to make these decisions. Again, it's like a business. You got to make these decisions when you start moving, because if not, you'll get middleways and stall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. I know I was on a broadcast some months ago, and the owner of the radio station had reached out to the host of the show that I was on, and that he liked my energy and wanted me to give him a call. So he wanted to offer me a spot on his show and all that stuff. And so they, start talking about the sponsors and all that stuff. I'm like, no, listen, I got enough bills. Like I can't add another, because the sponsors might come in and might not. I can't add nothing else to my bill list.
And you got to know that, because people talk about sponsors all the time. And Marissa, she can speak on that. She's been fortunate enough to have sponsors, but everybody's not gonna get sponsors. And I'm sure I could, because I have people in my community I could get from. It's just something. It's probably the black male thing, the black male ego thing that I got too, though, which I need to get out of. That we got to do it ourselves and things of that magnitude. But yeah, I just like it. I like it that way. I don't like to be held hostage. When I want to do something, I want to do it. And if I didn't go in the studio tomorrow, I want to be able to tap my card and go on into the studio.
Got it. Yeah. Wow.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Stefan.
Ricardo, I don't think it's just a black male thing. I think it's just a thing in general, because when you start going in people's wallet, because that's what you're doing, then there comes to compromise. And so you have to make a decision that I'm not going to compromise. Like for Lonnie and I, certain things, it's not negotiable. Even on the television network, it's not negotiable. You can pick it. You can write a letter. You can do what you want. Send an ugly emoji. It's not. It's not an option. So I think when you said that getting sponsors is a problem, I agree. And doing it yourself, that's why I say a check is the only thing keeping me from doing it full time, because I got to work to help pay for what I want to do and what I want to promote. So I agree with you on that totally.
Wow.
Marissa.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Marissa. Okay, hold on, yes, go ahead, dear.
Okay,
you unmute your.
Okay, what I can add to this, I shared this with Ricardo. He knows about this. I just recently left a radio station that I worked at here, and the reason why I left, because, and people think that I'm crazy for leaving, but they was not paying me my worth. My voice. This proper high speaking voice, was on the radio hosting a segment, and they was still paying me a promotion salary. And I said, hey, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but do you not know who you have in front of you? Do you not know who you have representing you? Here's my 6-page resume. Here's my promotions video. Oh, hey, I got a billboard on I-75. I know you see it.
Right.
And when they wasn't paying me my salary, they wasn't paying me my worth. I'm sorry. So I said, you know what, God, I know what you have called me to do. And I know, God, you're going to open up another door for me. And he has. And, when I gave my resignation, my supervisor cried in my face. The whole station was stopped. But, in media, you have to know your worth. I have been booked for so many speaking engagements where the other people would get paid, but I'm the mistress of ceremony. I didn't get a dime. But you want me to show up looking like Marvelous. You want me to show up in fancy dresses and my nice with my nice girls on, my nice hair. You want me to show up glamorous, but you don't want to pay me for, So really, God has been teaching me throughout this whole journey since I want to say 2017 that, Marissa, you must know your worth. I gave you a gift. Take it seriously. And if you take it seriously, other people will take it seriously. Now that was
let me say this.
Can I get
since she brought that up, she brought that up, and we're giving tidbits on media. That's another thing people need to know. That when we do a lot of these red carpets, especially these bigger ones, you don't get paid. The swap out is exposure.
Exposure.
Like being on a red carpet.
Exposure. That's what it is. Yeah.
Marissa
Yeah.
saw it firsthand when she posted about doing the Stellars. She got like what 200 comments and all of these likes. You do it for the clout. You do it for the recognition. You don't do it for a check because you're not getting one. The only people that typically get paid from those things are the people that have been hand selected by them. The first year I went, they had not Carlton Banks. I know he got paid because he was through Stellars, so he got paid for it. But most of the people that are on that carpet, it's almost a luxury to be on the carpet because they don't select everybody and they don't select very many people to do those kinds of carpet. So, you know, for those that are trying to get into red carpet stuff, don't be looking for a check, especially if you're a new outlet. Just be thankful they let you come because most new outlets don't get on those level of red carpets out the gate. You got to put in some work. So that's just a little tidbit. The reality is, you know, you got to have something to underfund you if you don't have somebody cutting the check, like Siobhan was saying. If nobody's cutting the check, you got to be able to make those sacrifices because a lot of those red carpets, listen, they happen on weekends. Most people work on weekends. So you got to be willing to say, you know what? I'm not going to work today because I need this exposure. I need to try to get in another door. And you swap it out and you do what you got to do. But a lot of these, because people have that misconception that we're on red carpets and we making money. No, we're not getting paid. We're doing it for the exposure, which you need to use. That's a golden key to get you to the next door.
That's good. Wow. Well, real quickly. Go ahead, G.
Well, no, I'll keep it brief. Well, you know, fortunately, and thank God, I've been able to earn a living doing this media thing.
That's good.
That's good.
You know, even now with Waywork Studios, you know, sometimes it's touch and go, but we do have our clients that come through and book out with us, you know, from television to movies to you just podcasting to rent the studio. You know, like I said, sometimes it gets touchy. So, you know, I come out of my pocket. So I still do fund the dream. But, you know, I thank God, you know, I've been able to earn a living doing it as well.
Good. Wow, that is good. Well, in our close, just we're gonna go around. We'll start with Siobhan Zell. Just tell the audience one of your best interview or your favorite. Well, I guess that's the same question. Best interviewee or interview, whether that was
listen.
Whether it was a celebrity or just the, you know, I mean, then, you know, just
every interview we have had to me has been the best. I'm serious. Awesome. We have not had one where I was like, oh Lord, this didn't go right. Or this may not be a good one. Everyone we've had has, and that includes you as well. It was amazing. All of them have been amazing.
That's good. Ricardo.
Yeah. You're trying to get me killed.
That's all right. Well,
you're trying to get me killed.
Well, you know, I mean, we kind of
it's fine. You're trying to get me killed. Okay.
No.
This is solely based off me going to different levels and having, you know, somebody of these levels say the things that they've said.
Okay.
So for me, my best interview to date has to be probably between Gary with the T and Hezekiah Walker.
Okay.
Because when I did Bishop Walker, you know, and you got to remember these, and the reason they stand out is because when they give you a compliment and they've done as much as they've done, it's a real compliment.
Okay.
So with Bishop Walker, when he was done, he was like, man, this is the best interview I've ever had.
Wow.
And for me, that means a lot because, you know, it's hard interviewing celebrities, be it gospel or not, because especially when you don't have a script. I don't do scripting. Right. So everything that I asked him literally happened in that moment. So for him to say to me, you know, this was the best interview I've done, you know, to date meant a lot to me. And with Gary with the T, Gary very rarely does interviews. I could not find any interviews with Gary being interviewed. Wow. So when he came to set and for him to really come clean about mental health and telling stories most people have never heard with me, it was an amazing experience because most people only know Gary with being funny and doing what he does on Dish Nation. But to know that he had such a story about mental health and for him to tell that and be willing to sit down with me, who in essence is not really a celebrity interviewer, it meant a lot. And when he was done, he said the same thing. Like we laughed, we joked, we had a good time. He saw me at another event, remembered my name, and we actually did the event hanging out together. So for me, those two only because they've done so many, especially Gary. Gary does interviewing. So for him to say that to me, and I'm really new compared to how long he's been in this, and for Bishop Walker to say that to me, who's probably been interviewed 5,000 times, including on TV One, not even a year ago, it meant a lot.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Lonnie?
I don't think you heard.
Not that. Lonnie? Okay, we'll move to GWay.
Okay.
Okay, there he is.
I think we got a little glitch
delay.
going on. Are you speaking with me?
Yes.
Oh,
best interview.
Okay. Well, as my co-host has spoken, pretty much all of our shows have been outstanding.
That's good.
And they say that themselves. I mean, after the show is over with, they love the way myself and Siobhan, how we connect with each other. Good connection makes a good show.
That's good.
You know, everything just flows. Even though we just sometimes we have things that are scripted, and then there are other times it's unscripted. But we flow together and we connect with the guest, the host. Everybody on the set is connecting with each other, and we really engage with each other effectively. So I say every show has been really awesome.
That's awesome.
I should have said that.
We don't have time. Well, listen, no, it's all right. But I would like to go back around again, but I'm not gonna do it because I really wanna put y'all on the spot. I want to say, like, have you had a guest that you just couldn't wait till it was over? No, we're gonna stay in the vein. What was your best interview, GWay?
Well, you know, it's a couple, but I'll speak to the one, Miss Dieta West, who's here in Atlanta, a legend in the game. I can't think of the many different movies she's been in. You know, when I sat down and I asked her every question from A to Z, she was blown away by every question simply because I knew way more than she's ever been asked in an interview. Wow. All the way down to who her late brother is or was, Cleavon Little. And I don't know if y'all remember who he is, but he's an actor from back in the day. If you remember the movie Blazing Saddles and so many of these other movies, he's a legend. And she was just blown away by it. So I would say Dieta West because she was very open, very fun to talk to. And, it was just comfortable. It just felt it was just good all the way around. And then let me shout out Dave Tolliver, R&B singer from Minute Large. That's my dude, first of all.
Yeah.
But if you ever get a chance to sit down with this dude, he will have you laughing from A to Z. That's facts, though.
Wow. Wow.
You got me on that one because there was Deanna West. Laura was trying to get me to get her on the show, and I didn't make space for her. Now you make me go back and make space for her.
Oh,
man, make space for Miss Dieta West, man, for sure.
Wow.
It's awesome.
I can honestly say, GWay, I tell you, he is a researcher. I mean, he gonna have that information. He's good. All right, Marvelous Marissa, what about your best interview?
Well, I loved all of my interviews.
Okay.
But one that I will always cherish is when I interviewed Monica Pearson in 2012 in front of a live studio audience on Channel 23.
Wow.
That was a month before my graduation. It was a gift from God. She just, it was, I don't want to cry when I think back on that moment. But that was, she gave me some really good feedback, talked about her experience, the ups, the downs, and her ugly moments that she faced in the media industry. And she said, Marissa, are you ready? And I said, well, hearing what you went through, I'm a little nervous. But, I thank God for that experience. That's a moment that no one can take away from me.
That is so good. Well, I tell you, this has been awesome. And I have truly enjoyed you all. And I know the audience has really been enjoying this broadcast. So we're getting ready to close. I know sometimes people feel like they have to go to school to achieve certain things and to get to certain places. But one of the common threads I hear with all of you all is God. That most of this has been because of God's favor, his grace, and the blessings of the Lord and everything. Because some people can feel like, I have to go to school for journalism. I got to do this. I have to do that, and it's not, anything against it, but, sometimes I tell you, I mean, it's good, I'm sure, and it adds to it. But I mean, you can't beat God on your side, So
That's it.
I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time. Yeah, you're welcome. All right,
Thank you for having me.
Apostle, can I
Yes.
share this? Can I share this testimony? I have to share this since you brought that up. I was
Okay.
telling Lonnie, I've been making a vision board since I was 17 years old. So I make one every year. And on my vision board, I can never forget it. I think I was 21 years old. I had put on a picture on my vision board of a lady, and she was sitting in front of a microphone. And I said, Lord, one day that's going to be me.
Yeah.
And even though I'm in my 40s now, it doesn't matter because God's timing is perfect timing.
That's right.
I just think back on that and say, wow, I never thought you think it, but you don't think it. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you got the vision, but how is this going to happen? How am I going to be? But God says, just because it's not mainstream doesn't mean it's not mainstream.
Hey,
right?
I like
Because
it.
anything with God is mainstream. So I just wanted to share that little testimony.
Awesome.
Since she did that, last thing, since she did, I was gonna let it ride. But since she did that, okay. So let me say this:
do. It never ends.
I'm
Go
just
ahead,
saying.
Ricardo.
So since you got on that, for most of that know me, I have 4 degrees. I have an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, almost a doctorate, and 3 certificates, none of which are in media. Nothing's in media. Something? So, God may have, or people may get you to go in a direction that may not necessarily be where God wants you. Or I won't even say that because my degrees come in handy because they are political degrees. So they come in handy with the podcast. Yeah. But most of my degrees are nothing's in media. And I consider going back to school for media, but I watch my interns. Most of them come from schools. And honestly, I have learned more than they know. And some of them have graduated. So you just got to really be mindful of the curriculum that you're under when you go to school. If you're going to go to school for journalism or whatever, make sure that curriculum has classes in it like digital marketing, digital social media. These are the things you need to make sure in your curriculum if you're going to pursue those kinds of things, because that's the space we're in. So I want to say that to folks, and be careful with marketing programs. If it's not new age marketing that includes social media understanding, you might not want to get into it, because that's the space. Digital marketing is the space that we're in. So if you really want to go to school for it, you need to go to a school that's a media school. And you need to pay attention to the curriculum and the classes that are in that curriculum, because that's what'll make the difference.
That's it. Right.
That's some good stuff. Every time, so we have to go, but y'all keep every time y'all say something.
Siobhan started it.
There's another question, but we're gonna go. But what you're saying, because it's definitely nothing against schooling, right? But I think a lot of people have gone to school and they're not working in that area right today. So at one time, credentials are always good, right? But at one time, it was all about the credentials. I mean, all about the degrees and all of that. But it sounds like it's more about influence, more about just really knowing what you're doing, and and how to maneuver and how to do what you do, perfecting your craft and your skill, and knowing this thing, so I think sometimes as parents, we have to let our children evolve and see what it is that they are drawn to and what they like to do, because you have some parents, they just want you to go to school just to go to school. And a lot of parents, you're wasting your money, and then you get mad because they're dropping out and all that stuff, and that's not their passion. It's not what they wanted to do.
And can I say something to that, Apostle? I have a degree. In mass media from Clark Atlanta University. And I graduated in 2012, and it took me 5 years, Apostle, 5 years to get to, to work in media. It took me 5 years after graduation. And this year I just celebrated my 10th year anniversary, and my school made me a distinguished alumni. So honestly, really education. Like, I love school. I'm all for education.
Yeah.
I'm all for HBCUs. But
Yeah.
honey, in my testimony, it was the favor of the Lord.
Yes. Wow.
That CAU degree that I'm looking at right now, that didn't have nothing to do with it. It was the favor of the Lord. So
that's
I'm
good.
Sorry, Apostle, go ahead.
Here's the reality.
All right.
The reality is in Atlanta, it's about who you know.
It's about
and I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how anybody dances around it. It's all about who you know. Because in Atlanta, I've seen people with no degrees in position they have no business being in because they knew the right people.
And
even in media, you got to know the gatekeepers. It's all about PR people. Those PR people are the ones that let you in or out. And most people never meet them. And I was telling Marissa when we were at the Stellars, I pointed out people, you need to get to know these individuals because these individuals are the gatekeepers. There are events. I have 5 events in my inbox now that came from one PR firm that almost controls Atlanta.
Wow.
Don't even know how I got on their list, but I'm on it. And because I'm on it, I get to go to all kinds of stuff, even stuff that I pass on. It's about who you know.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that concludes our show. Awesome. Thank y'all once again. And
thank you.
Yes. And
thank you.
Y'all are welcome. Thank y'all so much. What I always like to end with is live life and stop letting life live you. All right. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
The 411 Let's Talk Show segments. Inspirational moments. Dedric D Playbook. News and current events. Latest trends, styles, and fashion. Celebrity News Talk. The Coach's Corner. Ask DDP. With certified life strategist coach, Dedric D. Live life. Stop letting life live you. Live life. It's time. Oh, wait, I almost forgot.
Two hours later. 3 hours later.
The next day.
Eventually.
Hello, your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
What?
Oh.
1 eternity later.